Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to show you two projects that I worked on over the weekend. And this one here was inspired by someone on YouTube. But anyway, they took a book and they kind of just made it their own, like a journaling book. And so I thought I would do the same thing, but what they did, and I thought this book here that I got from the Goodwill was the perfect book for that. But they took out and painted over anything they did not want. Like they painted over the wording. So I think on all pages you paint over the wording, paint over any pictures you don't want or anything, and leave the rest. Which, you know, I would get a book that had some things like you like birds, mushrooms, flowers, what have you. Okay, so this one here, you can see I painted over everything but this bird and these birds and this flower picture. And these two were stickers. So then you add wording here to make it look like your own journal. And I'll get into some more pages that show you more in depth what I'm talking about. But here's another page. You can see where the purple is, but I've been adding stickers from my pulley printer. And here's what that looks like. I made this book. You know, this is just a regular watercolor pad that I've used up, but I always keep these because this is thick and this is thick. So in case I want to make something out of the cardboard, a tag or something of that nature. So this is kind of like my little workbook I work out of. And I've got my cereal box plastic over here to put between my pages, just in case I paint a page and need to paint another page. But I've went through and, you know, just different subjects that I want to do in this book. You know, one being the silhouettes. This one here is double-decker buses. This one here is telephones and their booths. Here is kind of like architecture, like front doors, windows with flowers. Here's grapes, here's birds, and you know, and then I had three others over here. Okay, so this one here, as you can see, I used the pulley printer to print this little picture off, and then these come out of the, let me back up. These come from another book, like a paper pad book with stickers in it. That's where these came from. And then this came from the pulley printer. And these were already on the page. But did it in purple, and that way you can see what I'm talking about. But you know, you're really going to do it in white. Okay, so on this page, still had some purple, but, you know, put down just white. And, you know, I already had, like, purplish in my, I just used a foamy brush, like one of these, and painted over everything but these two green things and this bird. So then went back on the pulley printer, added these two pages, pictures, and this sticker, that sticker, and that little sticker. And then, you know, you can take any wording thing of your choice, stamps, and stamp it in the book. Which I have several of them, which I'll show you in a minute. But I took this one and just continuously stamped it. And here's one where it was just the shrubbery. So I put these two pictures down, the lamp post, and that's really what this one was supposed to be about, lamp post. And so I did that on the pulley printer, that on the pulley printer, that on the pulley printer, but the birds with the little plants was already here, and I just stuck that in between the birds. That was pulley printer, stamp, antiquarian book. And this one here, I like this fire hydrant, so I put that on there, like little things of architecture. And this little Volkswagen, all these were on pulley printers. This was stickers I got. And this was out of antiquarian book. This was out of a sticker book. And the bird was on here, so I went around the bird also. So just the bird was the only thing I left on the page, because it is a bird book. And this one here, I left the heel. This here's a sticker, pulley printer. All these roots were already on the page. All the brown here was already on the page. Pulley printer. The rest were stamps. And like I said, the silhouettes, and I added these old-timey looking scissors. And this is one of my thin lids from my Happy Mail. This was from the antiquarium. And all that I left on this page was this part here. This one here, I left that. And I believe that was the only thing I left on the page. Then I found this quote in one of my books. Add the thin lids, added the umbrellas. And added this quote. It says, I think it depends what mood I'm in on how bored I'm getting. Sometimes I get bored very quickly. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not done with this process yet. And I just kind of like that quote. And this one here, I left the 2 plants and the birdhouse. And these are from the pulley printer. And this was from the pulley printer. This and this from the antiquarian book. And stamps, rest stamps. That was my stamps. This was another one I got a little more involved with. And the only thing I left the birdhouse. I left this picture, left this bird, and these 2 birds. The rest were stickers and stamps. Added some thin lids. The bird was on here, this bird was on here, and this bird. You can mainly tell because what I've left will be colorful most of the time, other than, you know, the stamps from the little book. And the rest were my little stamps and what have you. And here was one I started on. I left all of this and the squirrels. Whited everything else out. And these were my pulley printer. These 3. These were stamps. And I've not yet added the wording. But here's one that I've started on. And I thought I would show you guys this one. But I started, you know, whitening it out. And I'm using, you know, like the liquid latex, the thicker one. But even at that, you know, it needs 2 coats. So, anyway, you can see I've whited everything out but the table, the 2 fountains, and this little bit down here. But I still have to go back and paint all the little words and take those out, paint back over these. But letting you see how starting a page looks. But I think this is just a fun little project. I like, you know, sitting up, doing this in front of the TV. And it was a good way to use this bird book. And I had already taken a bunch of pages out of it. So it kind of worked out. Okay, so for my second project, I was looking through my Dyalog journal. You know, I usually put calendars, you know, for my planner, what have you, and, you know, do little collages, which this is an old one actually, that I done a few collages in, but never did finish it, and, you know, so I started putting this year's calendar in it. So anyway, I was looking online for one that I would like that didn't have much in it. And, you know, either they got this, which I've added the pink lines, you know, the little tic-tac-toe things with my credit card. And the rest was already in here. You know how the pages are already colorful. And that's this one that's already got the pages colored in them. Then you have one that has the grids. You have one that has the dots. You have one that has the days of the week in it. And so, you know, I do have one that's blank, but now they have one that has the craft paper. They have one that has the black paper. But, you know, I thought I just want one that has nothing in it, which I know you can get that. That's all fine and good. But I thought to myself, I thought I would go ahead. Let me grab my book over here. Let me dump my collage papers off. But anyway, so I thought I would make my own. Let me move you guys up a little bit. So here's my book again. So what I did was I went through, and every time there was a signature, you know, the middle of a signature, I took out that page. Okay, you guys with me on that? Took out a page, went to the next signature, took out a page, which it's good because some of my books get so fat, they're going to be ended up, you know, the spine over here, I'm going to have to take that off anyway. Okay, so I took the signatures out, and I made my own book. And if you look right here, this book is the perfect size for that. Okay? It's the perfect height, but I see that it's wide. You can get two. And then you're going to have some left over. But that was fine with me. So anyway, so pretend I took a page out. I wonder if I could pull this one out. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this one out. So then, you know, I measured my book, of course. And, you know, opened it up, got my width, which I believe is 9. So then, let me grab my thing over here. So then you're going to want to, you know, after you take all of these, and, you know, you're going to go ahead and cut all of them down the middle. So I'll see if I can do that. Okay. So then, after I took that, you know, you're going to want to cut 9. So then I took my pages, and right here, you know, with the corner up here, so that way it boils down to you'll have to clip 3 of your corners, but 1 of them you won't have to. So, I think for the first page, let me measure again. I believe it was 8.5. But, you know, measure for, you know, you may want your journal a little smaller. You may want it a little bigger. But if you do the first, what I did is the first one on 8 and cut it, you know, then you're going to cut another one on 8. And then I done the next one on, I come in 2/16 or 1/8 on the next 2 pages. And I did that for, I did a total of 8 halves, if that's what you want to call it, 8 sheets of paper, but it was only 4 signatures that I pulled out the book. Because, you know, out of this one, you're going to get, you know, 2 pages. Okay, so the first one will be 8. The first 2, excuse me, will be 8. The next 2 will be 7. And it'll be 14/16. And then you're going to move it, you know, let me move you guys down again. You're going to move it 2/16, 2/16, and 2/16. So for every 2, you're going to move it in. I did 2 on 8, 2 on 7, and 14/16. Next one on 7.5, and so on. I did it 2, 2, and 2. Okay, and that being because when you go to fold your book, if you don't, all these middle pages are going to be sticking out way further than the edge. Because, you know, this paper is really thick anyway. Let me move you guys up so you can see how thick that is. Okay. So, so here's my book. Okay, and I had took it, and let me back up. So I laid all my pages out. Okay, pretend like these are my pages. So I laid all my pages out. I took 2 colors. I took cadmium yellow and brilliant yellow green. And I put them over here for the brayer. Couldn't think of the name. For the brayer. Okay, so I took all these pages and braid them. You know, I put some over here. Just braid yellow and green on all the top sides. Come back 30 minutes later and braid green and yellow on the other side. For the fact you're not going to be able to, not unless you take all the trouble, because this is green and yellow, you cannot, like that's green and yellow, this one's purple, that one's purple. You can't change colors like that's in the book. You can, but it will be painstaking, because you can tell this page and this page is not one page. It's actually the front of one and the back of another. So, you have to decide if your book's going to be green and yellow, pink and yellow, blue and green, whatever. But I took a bright color, and I thought that I would make like the little decorative part on the inside. If I could show you a page. Like this one here has all these little squares. And this one has squares. And that one has squares. But I thought I would go through and make my own little decorations But what you have to do on that is, when I had stuck all my pages together, if you're going to put the decorations on them, I went through and say, like this is my little stack. I went through and said, okay, this here was number 1. Okay, everybody with me? This here is number 1. And I don't like using that pen. And then when you turn, well, no, I said this was my middle, excuse me. This was my middle. So okay? So this was all one page. So then I wanted the next page to have the same decorative page. But you see now, when you flip the page, now you got to call that page there and this page here, and I done it with the sticky notes because you got to keep up. Call this page 1 and that page 1. And you got to do that for every one on this side, and you got to go over here and do it for this side. Say like if you went 12 and 12, this one here is going to be 13 and 13. 14 and 14. You got to do it like that if you're going to match it up and paint the pages before you put them together. And I had done that for every page in here. But I had gotten partially the way through, and I said to myself, see how that's 2 pages? I had to number these 2 pages. And I put the little squares. And over here, the little circles. Then I put that for the border. And you know, you're going to have to number them. This may have been 13, that may have been 13. And you got to do that to keep up. And you got to put all these pages back together because, remember, they're graduated. These are shorter than these. And you can see how they're graduated. Because if you don't graduate them, you know, when you go to fold this big book, which now my book is the same as this book. But, you know, you can make yours big, tall, whatever. But mine don't quite have the amount of pages that this one has, which I'm good with that. And so then I decorated the front. You know, do whatever you like. Put the stickers, stamps, whatever. And I did notice that, oh, and let me back up. So I took my crocodile and put the 4 holes. Put the 4 holes in it. But, you know, if you want to decorate all your pages, you can do that while they're laying out flat before you fold them, if that's your preference. But, so what I did on this one here, I noticed that the outside of this has a very slick, you know, feel to it. So I thought, you know, I may go back after I'm through, maybe completing the back of it. And if you want to go over it a couple times with Mod Podge, you can. But then once I did that, you know, you got to see how you're going to put it together. If you don't have a sewing machine that's going to sew 8 pages, then, or not a paper clip, but a stapler that's going to go through 8 pages, then you're going to have to bind it. So I just took my wax Brazilian cord here, and it's 14 by 15 yards. I can't tell what weight it is, but it's cording. I can't see what weight it is, but anyway, took that, took my crocodile on the littlest hole, not the hole that you're going to put rivets in, on the littler hole, and bound it all together and tied it here in the middle. And I left it just in case I change my mind, you know, if you like, you know, you could add beads to right here before you, you know, put it through. If you want some beads to hang off, I could have, you know, had it where this don't tie in the middle, where it ties at the top. Then those two could have come out the top, and I could have put some beads on, then tied it off out here on the outside. But I thought that on this first page, I was going to kind of show you how you can mimic, say like it had a darker green in here. So I thought I would try to, we'll just see what it looks like. And since I used the brilliant green, I think I'm going to use some light olive green if I can get it to come out, because that would be darker, you know, than this, the brilliant yellow green. And I'm going to see how that does. You know, just for background noise. See how that does pretty good. You can go over, after I thought about it, I thought, well, if I put dates on here, I'm going to have to, you know, go back probably over these and, or what have you. Might want to put your orbs on here. Make some background noise. Something to that nature, because if you may want, you may want to put a calendar on here, notes, what have you. But I usually use these journals for either my calendar or for my trips. When I do a trip, I'll put where I want to go, where I want to eat, some notes, don't forget this, don't forget that, what I need to take. And then at the end, then I'll use it like a little scrapbook and fill in where all we went on our trips. So if you just want to go through and add background noise, that's something subtle that you can just write over top of. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed it, and give me a thumbs up, and if you could, subscribe to my channel, and as always, see you tomorrow.